Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about something that is quietly impacting a lot of men, maybe more than ever before. You've probably heard about the male loneliness epidemic that's been getting a lot more attention lately, and honestly, I think it's really important that we talk about it, not just in the context of dating or relationships, but just life in general. Because loneliness doesn't just mean being single, it can also mean feeling like you don't have real friends or like you don't have anyone to talk to or just no one who truly knows you. It's a lack of connection, romantic, yes, but also platonic. And this isn't me just sitting on a pedestal giving advice to men from the outside. I actually relate to a lot of the things I'm going to talk about too. I'm naturally a homebody. I'm introverted. I genuinely love being alone. And for a long time, I thought that meant that I was immune to loneliness. But what I've learned is that even people who are comfortable alone still need community. They still need connection. And sometimes, without realizing it, we slip into these patterns that make us feel even more and more isolated, even if life on the outside seems to be fine. So that's really why I wanted to share this with you guys. So in this video, I'm going to go over some habits and behaviors that might be leading to loneliness and how to recognize them before they become your new normal. This isn't about blaming or shaming. This is about awareness, because when you know what's going on, you can actually start to shift it. The first behavior that I want to talk about here that leads to loneliness is you've replaced real connection with distractions. One of the most common patterns I see is when distractions start replacing real connection. Whether it's scrolling on TikTok, watching YouTube, playing video games, or endlessly consuming content, it's really easy to feel like you're doing something or connecting with people when really you're just keeping yourself from feeling lonely. And to be clear, these things aren't necessarily bad in moderation. I love a good Netflix binge like anyone else, but if you're using screens as a substitute for people, especially when you're feeling down or disconnected, you're just pushing the feeling further down. And over time, the things that helped you escape loneliness at one point end up usually reinforcing it. The next behavior that leads to loneliness is you tell yourself that you don't need anyone. I think a lot of men grow up being told directly or indirectly that needing people makes you weak, that you should be independent, self-sufficient, tough. It's sort of that like lone wolf mentality. But loneliness is not a weakness. It is a basic human signal that something is off. We are wired to connect, whether you're a man, a woman, an introvert, or extrovert. You don't have to be surrounded by people all the time, but if you're always convincing yourself that you're better off alone, you might be trying to protect yourself from rejection or disappointment when what you really want is to feel seen and supported. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is a basic, fundamental human need. So don't ever feel bad about that. And I say that as someone who loves my alone time, but even I have learned that we all need relationships that matter, even if it's just a few close ones. The next behavior is you don't have a support system outside of dating. This is something that I see a lot, especially in men. When a romantic relationship ends, or if you're not in one, it can feel like you have absolutely no one at all, because a lot of men don't have strong platonic relationships. Maybe you used to have guy friends in high school or college, but life got busy, you moved, and those friendships just sort of faded. And instead of trying to build new ones or sort of tend to those older ones, it just stops. And here's a huge problem. Relying on a romantic partner to be your only emotional outlet is a lot of pressure for both of you. You need guy friends, you need a community, and you need someone that you can talk to about what's going on in your life, even the difficult stuff. Not having that doesn't just make you feel lonely, it makes everything more difficult because you feel like you're doing everything alone. And again, as someone who loves to be alone, I love my alone time so much. I'm an only child. I've spent a lot of time alone in my life. I still need people and friends around me too, and I can't just rely on my husband to be that one person for me. I think it is so important to make sure that you're still putting time and effort and energy into the platonic relationships in your life as well. The next behavior is that you avoid vulnerability. This one is huge, and I totally get why a lot of guys hesitate to open up. Maybe you've been laughed at. Maybe you've had your feelings totally dismissed. Maybe you were never really taught how to express your emotions in the first place, or to even sort of understand what it is that you're feeling. But the fear of being judged or misunderstood leads a lot of men to just keep everything inside. People can't connect with a version of you that is always fine. You gotta be a little vulnerable. And I know a lot of you hate that word, but it's so true. Even in friendships, especially male friendships, I think a lot of men really struggle with this. There needs to be some level of realness, of being willing to talk about more than just sports or work or whatever's happening on Reddit. You don't always need to keep it surface level, and it doesn't mean you have to spill your soul to everybody, but if you never show what's going on beneath the surface, you'll always feel like no one really knows you, and that is one of the loneliest feelings in the world. All right, behavior number 5 is that you have stopped reaching out. This one is a quiet habit that slowly creeps in over time, and that is waiting for others to make the first move all the time. You stop texting people, you stop inviting anyone to hang out. You tell yourself, well, if they wanted to talk to me, they would. And sometimes that's true, but often the people in your life are just as busy or distracted or as anxious as you are. If you always wait for other people to initiate, your world gets smaller and smaller until one day you realize that you haven't had a meaningful conversation in weeks. And trust me, guys, I have had to push myself on this one too, because I have realized that connection doesn't just magically happen. You have to tend to it like a plant. It dies if you don't water it. So you've got to tend to your relationships. I think a lot of us feel this fear of initiating or reaching out a lot of the time because we're afraid of rejection. We're afraid that they're going to, in a roundabout way, say that they don't want to hang out with us, or maybe they won't even reply at all, and we'll feel dumb and stupid and awkward. But I think it's worse to not initiate and not try at all than it is to just put yourself out there and try. And then there's, of course, the stories that we tell ourselves and the excuses we make to not reach out to people, whether it's, oh, they have a lot going on, they're really busy, if they wanted to hang out with me, they would reach out to me. But maybe that other person is feeling those same things too, and they're scared to reach out to you for the same reasons, or not necessarily scared all the time, but they hesitate to reach out to you for the same reasons. And then both of you keep operating that way, and you don't end up talking, you don't end up seeing each other or hanging out, because you're both creating these stories in your head that might not even be based in reality. So I think it's always better to be the one who reaches out, even if people say no, even if people say, oh, I can't do it this time, maybe another time. At least you tried. I think it's so important to at least be the one who is trying. I think that's honorable, it's admirable. And I don't know about you, but I personally would rather be the one who is trying and initiating and doing my best versus the one who's just waiting for everyone to reach out to them first. So this is your sign to text that person that you've been meaning to talk to and you've been making an excuse not to. Do it. And again, just to reiterate, I'm not talking about women here necessarily. I'm talking about platonic friendships, like friends, guy friends in your life. Reach out to them. And behavior number 6, you tie your worth to achievement. This one hits so hard, especially for men. I think a lot of men don't feel worthy of connection unless they've hit a certain milestone, whether it's their income, career, fitness, status. So if they're not where they want to be necessarily, they might isolate themselves. You might be saying things to yourself like, oh, well, I'll put myself out there more when I've made it, when I've achieved this goal. I don't have anything to offer right now, so I'm just gonna wait. Or I'm not proud of where I'm at, so I'll just keep my head down and keep working. But that mindset is going to keep you stuck. You do not need to be perfect to be loved. Let me say that again, because I really want you to hear this. You do not need to be perfect to be loved. You don't need to be successful to be someone's friend, their boyfriend, or their husband. You are allowed to be a work in progress. You're allowed to be working on yourself and still be worthy of connection. Please hear me when I say that. I think this is so important for you to understand. And again, loneliness is not just about being single. It's about not having people in your life that you can be real with. Having people that you can call when something goes wrong or something goes really right and you want to celebrate that with someone. People who know who you are underneath the surface. If any of these points in my video today felt familiar, I want you to know you are not alone with this. I have struggled with some of these things too, even as someone, again, who really values solitude and quiet and peace. I'm an only child. I've spent so much of my time alone. I thrive being alone, but I've had to really remind myself that connection isn't something that just happens to you. It is something that you build, and it's never too late to start, no matter how old you are, no matter what phase of life you're in. It's so wonderful to make new friendships as you're going through different seasons in your life. I do feel like it's a little more difficult as you get older, but I'm still doing it. I'm still working on it. And I want you to know that you can too. I don't want you to feel isolated. I don't want you to feel alone. And I really wanted to make this video today to talk about these habits and patterns because I think they are so incredibly easy to fall into, especially as so many of us are now doing so many things from home. I mean, I work from home. I work out from home. Because of the technology and just convenience at our fingertips, you could get groceries delivered, food delivered. I don't recommend doing those things unless you absolutely have to. But I think it's so important to still make an effort to leave your house, to do things outside of your comfort zone, to meet up with people who you've been meaning to connect with or you've lost touch with, to really tend to these real in-person, human-to-human connections in your life. Because I promise you, no social media interaction, screen, Netflix show, video game can replace human-to-human connection. And you can tell yourself that you don't need it, but I promise you that you do. There have been so many new studies that I've seen about this, about how harmful loneliness is for obviously your mental health, but your physical health. And I think a lot of people don't take that to heart and they don't realize it. And so they just keep doing these habits that are making them lonelier and lonelier. And maybe they don't realize how much they're struggling until they get to a point where it's really bad. And I just don't want you to feel that way. So if you're feeling isolated right now, I hope this video helps you reflect, not in a judgmental way. Again, I'm guilty of these things too, but in an honest way. And I hope it gives you the push to reconnect with others, even if it's just one small step, saying hello to someone, smiling at somebody, baby steps. So if you like this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to be in the loop for when I release new content. Also, let me know down in the comments if anything I talked about today resonated with you. I would love to hear your personal experiences and stories below, and maybe some things that you've done to help yourself feel less lonely. We'd just love to hear from all of you guys down in the comments. If you haven't already, also be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.